What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Top 10 Podcast. This is episode 17, and officially, I'm back. It's been a couple of months, three to be exact, I believe, since the last upload to the channel, exclusively on YouTube, as always. And we're just ready to get the ball rolling once again. In the meantime, that I've been gone, I've had a lot of wonderful things in my life happen. Of course, graduated. Now I'm ready to turn over that new leaf, if you will. Ready to now find whatever comes my way and just deal with everything head on. It's been a while since I've uploaded, and it's very it's for a very good reason. Trying to find my balance and, like I said, turning over that new leaf. I'm trying to recuperate after consistently posting and just consistently uploading. It does take a while, especially now because your boy, runs everything himself, whether it's promotion and talking obviously about current day events and just anything that happens. But I'm excited to be back. Hopefully, I can't make any promises, but perhaps this is the start of being more consistent because that's always nice. But in the meantime that I've been gone, it's been crazy. Whether it's just personal life stuff or maybe some of these articles and headlines that we have here, which, by the way, are just insane. One of them is just awful to read and talk about. But we're gonna get into it, of course, and just sit back and enjoy the chaos, if you will. But just to give you a little glimpse as to how my life has been, I want to say this was around 2 weeks ago, or yeah, around 2, 3 weeks ago. I'm walking my dog, and I'm kind of spacing out. I'm not gonna lie, because it's that point where I'm like, okay, god damn it, my dog, is fucking looking at me with his puppy eyes and shit. She hasn't gone outside in a day, you know. And so I'm taking my dog outside, and I'm crossing the street. I'm having an existential crisis where, like, my soul isn't attached to my body, and I'm just daydreaming. But this woman runs past the speed sign, and she's about to, like, run me and my dog over. So I have to pick up my dog, fucking swerve, and you know, just you just hear the car screech as she stops, and she just quickly turns around and she gets out of the car. But I caught her before she even got out. I saw that she threw her phone to the passenger side, and she just gets out and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." She starts giving me those excuses. She starts, very apologetic, quote unquote. But I saw her throw her phone to the passenger seat last second, and I'm like, what the fuck? Of course I'm mad because this is like the fourth time I'm almost gotten, ran over. Second time I've actually been run over, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about here. And she's like, no, 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 no. She's trying to give me every excuse imaginable, except accepting responsibility. And I swear to God, she looks me dead in the eyes and she just says, "I'm sorry. It's just I'm a Cancer, and this is just a bad month for me." Like, what the fuck? First of all, it's July, and what the fuck? I was so dumbfounded and confused as to, like, why she thought that would work, you know? And actually, I was so dumbfounded and just like flabbergasted that I said nothing. I was literally in shock, just mouth wide open. I guess part of me was like, damn, she right, it's I don't know shit about astrology, but it's like, is it not Cancer season? Is that shit not what it is? But getting ran over, man, it's something. And I don't want to make that joke, because that wouldn't be cool, about women not being able to drive. It's just, I mean, come on, the setup is right there, but I won't, I won't. But that was just a little glimpse of what my life has been like. Almost dying, of course. But don't we all? You got to make shit exciting. You can't just be living your life precariously with no excitement. Because if that happens, you'll be dealing with loneliness. and you don't want to live with that because being lonely, it's awful. But you know, what's the best way of dealing with loneliness? For this woman named Niroko Haragami who lives in Tokyo, she was arrested by Japanese police. She's 51, and for the last 2 years and 9 months, between the years of August 2020 and May 2023, she had made a total of 2,761 false emergency calls because, well, as she puts it, she was lonely, you know? And I guess, can't we blame her? I mean, to be honest, 51 doesn't sound that old. I don't consider that to be grandma age. But, I get it. Maybe she didn't have sons or daughters, and, nobody that looks after her. She just felt the pressures of being alone. I feel like a lot of us would probably not call the police, but fuck it, I understand. We ball. But instead of taking a nice car ride or like a walk in the park or something of that nature, she decides to call the police. But don't worry, because this story does have a happy ending. She's currently in jail. She that's the happy ending because she won't be lonely there. I bet you. Imagine you're getting pressed by an older fellow lady. She's in her 50s and she's like, "What are you in here for?" Oh my God, didn't Hasbulla get arrested or like locked up a couple of months ago? I believe he was. That shit is funny. Like I imagine if I for some reason were going to jail and I'm in there with the general population and I see a buff, tall looking dude and then I see Hasbulla. Honestly, I'd be more afraid of Hasbulla, right? Because he's a little boy. Like what the fuck did he do that's so dangerous they had to lock him up? If I remember correctly, he was like driving recklessly. Like that shit's hilarious. Like I just because I'm the type of person who's like a kind of an impatient driver, so I just imagine myself being behind the wheel, being behind fucking Hasbulla, well, being behind his car, not knowing that it's him, and I like fucking swerve around him, and I just like beat my horn and shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of the. And then I see that there's like little hands grabbing at the wheel. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's just fucking ass Bola flipping me off on the side. What the fuck, bro? Oh shit. I hope Hasbulla doesn't hear this. I'm pretty sure he has connections. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Hasbulla. I shouldn't be joking about you. But anyway, uh, yeah, no. Shouts out to the woman, Miss Haragami. Hopefully she's been released by the time that this video comes out or this podcast. Sorry. Shouts out to her. Somebody check on your elders, man. Because if not, they're just gonna continue wasting fucking city resources and shit. Do you think the police were there like, oh my god, it's her again, Stacy? You know what to do. Like they got a code for her and everything. Shit, maybe. Moving on, man. American tourists. They were found sleeping atop the Eiffel Tower after being too drunk. And this isn't really why I brought this up. I just wanted to bring up the fact that if anybody remembers, Miss Erica Labrie. If you don't know who that is, I'll remind you. She was married to the Eiffel Tower in 2008, claiming that she was in a relationship with an aircraft before being married to the tower. I cannot make jokes about this because I mean, I guess it's a thing. People identify as OS, standing for object sexual. And yeah, no, she married the tower, man. After 10 years, they called it quits, if I remember, and she's now seeing a fence, and she describes it as perfect in geometry. I don't know what that means. There is no context. That's just the quote that she said in the article that I read. Honest to God, I don't really want to know. But her and the guy attracted to his car from that weird strange addiction thing got to meet up. They got a link for the first time. Because that's wild. Uh, I don't know, guys. Comment down. What do you? If you guys were OS, what would you be attracted to? Huh? You know, you're looking at your Starbucks cup a little different. You're seeing the drawing of the woman. You know, wasn't that a thing that people were pointing at one point? That the little drawing or whatever of the Starbucks lady looks like she's parting her. I don't know, man. I don't want to get into the whole OS thing. I just think it's funny that she broke up with the Eiffel Tower. You know, like is having is having fucking tourists taking pictures with the Eiffel Tower considered cheating? Who cheated on who is the real question. Okay, wait. What is okay? No, there's so many questions actually. How the fuck did she think that marrying the tower was gonna work? And like, what the fuck? She because if I remember, she changed her name. It wasn't Erica Labrie. It was like Erica Tower or some shit. Like she legally changed her name for this, and she's seeing offense. Like she, I don't know, man. There's also like that one woman that ate her husband's ashes or something. I like little by little, she was like crying while eating it too. It was so sad. Uh, but more power to them. I don't fucking I don't know if that's a correct thing for me to be saying, but hey, she's doing big things for real, for real. And speaking of big things here, the new Snow White movie. I believe it's not coming out until 2024, so that is in a year. But it's stirring quite a lot of controversy. Rachel Zegler, who is Latina, is now going to be the new, well, Snow White, basically. And basically, the whole debate here is that the son of the original maker, his name is David Hahn, calls the new live action remake insulting. The original making right of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out in 1937, I want to say. The new rendition of the movie will now air, of course, like I said, next year. But it seems like the whole premise and the whole characters actually are going to be revamped. It's not going to be as originally remembered or even acted as. And this is where the whole divide comes from, right? Because in the original one, Snow White is this glowing princess, having white skin, and she, it's described as white as snow. I believe in the remake, even the seven dwarves are not even going to be dwarves. They're just going to be transformed into creatures of various sizes and, you know, a whole lot of. I think actually Rachel Zegler, even herself, before the making of it, or it could have been prior or during the making of the new film, well, the remake actually, she was stating that it wasn't going to be, how the women has to be rescued by the man, and she's helped a lot. It's her finding her own identity and finding her own voice, which is, I mean, cool and all, but I don't think that that's really what this whole thing is about or should be, right? I mean, we could have that argument about how remakes stray away from original plot slash concepts, and we can even get to the whole conversation about woke culture playing a really big factor into it. But I really would like to get all y'all's opinion on this. Do you think this new remake, this live remake, having casted, people from different backgrounds, gives the movie justice, or does it take away from the original plot or from the original idea? What do you guys think about it? Me personally, I believe that having renditions where people are shown to be, of a different background can be a good thing. In this particular case, I think that this is a whole different movie than what was originally made. If that makes sense. The original plot and the original idea and concept is kind of just being thrown away. Like at this point, just don't call it Snow White. Like call it something else. Because I feel like it really just is trying to be its own separate thing while maintaining the name that originally brought its fame. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to have inclusivity. In any fact, I mean, there was a statement earlier there was an announcement or some sort of statement that was given saying that inclusivity in Hollywood has been rather not there. They're saying that they're still casting the same people for the same roles, or there's a particular mold that people have to follow or even be in order to be casted, which is first of all disgusting, of course, and also deterring for many people who aspire to be actors, for people who want to get into the show business and who are planted with this just really bad circumstance, where they're not seen as somebody who fits into whatever crazy vision a director might have. And it's still something that people deal with to this day, and it's years and years on top of years where the symbols of Hollywood and who's considered like the lead actors, they look a certain way, and as much as people want to be progressive and all, Hollywood gets the last laugh, if you will, you know. But in terms of this remake, I do have to agree with the son of the original creator of Snow White. I do not have a problem with representation. That is not a problem at all. It's just that when it takes away from the original movie, you're straying away from the plot. You're straying away from all the features and all the attributes that made the film of Snow White be what it is. At that point, just make it into something else. Make it into something that isn't just a different movie with the same name. If inclusivity is what you want, then just make a whole new film. It's like the thing with the Little Mermaid when they made Ariel be black. Uh, I didn't see a problem with it. A lot of people definitely did, but at that point, that's a point where I see it as okay, cool. You did it for a new audience because let's be honest, that's why they make remakes. There's a lot of remakes because as generations grow older, things look a little outdated or things look old, so they cast new people just to keep the lineage and the thought of that concept or that show fresh for them. They have different actors. Of course, it's not going to be casted the same way under the same revisions that the original director had in mind. But for the most part, remakes are usually following the same linear plot that original movies had. It just so happens here that this new remake for the live action Snow White strays from that path. At that point, like I've been saying, just make a new film, call it something else. There's nothing wrong with this new artistic direction, and being inclusive, have people of different backgrounds. The seven dwarves not being called dwarves and being creatures of different sizes. That's all and well, but I think you are taking a bit of that legacy and that new mystique of what it was away from the original creator. So I do feel for the son who said that his father would never approve of this, and he would have never liked for them to continue on with this vision. And I think it was also Rachel Zegler's comments that really rubbed people the wrong way. Because it was just the way that she described this, like, oh, we think that those ideas are so outdated. We and Disney are not again are so against that. Disney, the one that's so great to people, the one that's never been racist. you know, like the founder wasn't anti-Semitic and shit. Like he didn't have his own fucking demons. Like we know what this is, and you know, uh, just the whole idea of how it's gonna go. I'm not saying that it's gonna be bad. I'm just saying that it could do with a little bit more rebranding, not under Snow White, but maybe under a different name. But I am curious to get your guys' opinion and what you think. Now, sticking with the theme of something that's getting a lot of negative reception and getting a lot of pushback, we have to talk about Skittles, everybody's favorite candy, of course. Uh, Nah, I'm just kidding. Fuck Skittles. Sour Patch watermelon flavored candy. You know where it's at. And but yeah, no. Skittles announced a new flavor to their already, good resume. Um, they're adding a mustard flavor. First of all, what the fuck? Second of all, ew. Third of all, do y'all remember ranch flavored ice cream? A few podcast episodes in to our early career here, me and my buddy were talking about the worst food combinations. And I'm sorry, but if you're eating mustard Skittles and I catch you eating that shit in public, I might slap you, like for real. Like that's not funny, man. Uh, please, if you love your toilet, you know, don't. But what the fuck? I had a friend. Man, I was gonna name drop him right there, but I had a friend who loved, for some reason, he loved green grapes, and he dipped that shit in ketchup. And it was traumatizing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I went over to his house one time. We were kicking it. I was having a good time. And this was like early stages of friendship. Like this is okay. I'm trying to ease into the to calling you a friend for real, for real. But it was at a point where we were like, yeah, man, that's great. And he offered me a snack, and I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah, for sure. I'm quite hungry. I could eat, staring at his dog and shit. And then he comes back with his big ass fruit bowl of grapes, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, dude, I love grapes. And he pulls out the ketchup, and he starts spreading that shit all around all the top of the grapes. And I thought it was like a practical joke. I thought I was getting pranked, or I don't know, man. I thought Ashton Kutcher was gonna pop up out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, you just got Kutchered, or I don't remember what the fuck the name of the show was, but I thought something like that was gonna happen. He's like, nope, not a joke. He looks at me like I'm the crazy one, like I'm the one who's weird for not liking this shit. And he grabs the grapes and he starts eating it. And he's picking up the controller too with his ketchup hands, and now the whole room smells bad, and it was a whole thing. I didn't even say anything. I just kind of got up, excused myself to the bathroom, and I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, please, the emo kid's eating fucking ketchup grapes. And he said, don't worry, I got you. And then he came and picked me up. Like, man, listen, I love emos. I love the emo community. I got adopted by the emo community. It's just that some of y'all are really weird. I'm sorry. I'm not a self-identified emo. I like wearing black, but y'all got some weird habits, and I don't think that grapes and ketchup go along. You know. But shout out my boy. I never saw him again, nor spoke to him. It took me a while to bring it up actually, and then when I did, he was so defensive. Like, oh no, man, I just like it. I liked it since I was a child. Whatever floats your boat, man. I guess, but for real, if you eat mustard flavored Skittles, I don't know, man. I don't think you should be allowed to cook for anybody. I think you should rearrange your taste buds. Is all I'm saying. Speaking of rearranging, this is actually a bit of old news, but it's a little bit of a transformation story, if you will. And the article reads that a Japanese man spent $20,000 to transform himself into a dog. Now I own a dog. I love my dog actually. I told you in the beginning. My dog almost got ran over by a crazy cancer lady. But I digress. I love my dog. It's really not my place to tell people how to spend their money, but I will say 20K is 20K. I guess the first questions that I had that actually just like kind of came into mind were, is this his lifestyle now? Does he fuck dogs? Is he a furry? Is this what a furry is? You know? What the fuck? Cuz like if I walk to the park and I'm walking my dog, and then I see this man who looks like, cuz I've seen a costume. I'm sure a lot of you who know about this story have seen a costume. It looks like a taxidermy job gone wrong, and he looks like not a dog. Like dogs come up to him and they look shocked. They look paralyzed. They just stand there and yell like, "What the fuck is this? This ain't a dog, bro." You know. and he like throws himself on the ground to be allowed to be pet by humans and shit. I ain't touching that freaky ass dog. What the fuck? I ain't letting my dog come near that thing. But so the man's name is Toko, and he chose to be a collie because he was too big to be a Chihuahua and shit. But like, imagine like this got to be a hobby. This got to be the most expensive hobby, you know? And like, what if he's? I don't know what he works. I don't even know if he's employed. But I would like to imagine that you're like a you're like trying to buy a new car and he's your car salesman and he comes in with his fucking dog costume, walking on all fours like, how can I help you? And you gotta have a serious conversation with this man as he barks at you or some shit. I don't know. I don't got a problem with furries. It's just they kind of freak me out a little, and it's a weird thing. I don't know, but I, it's my problem, man. I'm a little bit too judgmental. Live life how you want to live it. If you want to dress up as a dog and I don't know, like fucking pee on the sidewalk and shit. Oh my god, imagine. Yeah, because he had a woman that was like, she was straight up like walking him, like straight up just, he had him on the leash and he was basically like sitting. Oh, dude, imagine you were high as fuck. Like you're in the park, you're chilling. You're like, man, I'm sure glad I'm not gonna see some freak shit today. And you see my boy, fucking my boy Toko over here, staring back at you with the devilish ass collie eyes, and he's like, woof woof, motherfucker. Like it'd be bad. It'd be a bad trip. But shouts out to him. I don't know if he made it himself or I don't know how the process of transforming yourself into a dog works. It'd be funny if I got told that that's just like a surgery or something. Uh, but do what you gotta do. I guess. Please don't fuck dogs. Please. I would never come near him, but it is something. Speaking of transformation, and dogs, because the new album Drake, with his new hairstyle, man, looking like thugnificent, Z- my man's Drake has never beaten those zesty allegations, is he? And it doesn't help that he does the lip thing where he looks like he's puckering up. I find it hilarious that Drake is like trying to be hard. Like if you listen to the, what was the name of the, oh, Utopia, but Travis Scott, right, on the newest one, where he was like dissing Pharrell and coming after Pusha T. He's talking all that shit, and then like, yeah, that's hard. That's a hard ass beat. Those are some hard ass bars. And then you go to his Instagram, and he's got the thugnificent look going. Like, come on, man, be consistent and shit. But speaking of Utopia, actually, now that we're on that point, how are we feeling about the Utopia album by Travis Scott now that we've had a couple of weeks to really digest it? I really want to get to know people's opinion on that. We've had the conversation here for a while of rap not necessarily falling off, but not being at the height of the popularity that it once was. That really being attributed to a different number of factors, whether it be the genre itself getting a little bit stale. Like, I think we can all agree that rap over like the last 2 to 3 years has gone a little bit stale in terms of artistry, right? I think it has to do a lot with TikTok too, because we see the labels now. TikTok can be a double-edged sword. You're gonna find talent, you're gonna find crops of talent, you're gonna find people who have like one song that does really well on the algorithm. They blow up, but they don't really have a catalog of music, which is good for labels on one hand because they can groom them, they can transform them into whatever version of an artist they see fit, and they'll have the most leverage because A, they're a record company, they're a label, they can push an artist as hard as they want to and create a whole image that artist doesn't have at the moment. But for them, it's also a double-edged sword, and the downside of it is that people are not paying, or people are not coming out to shows and engaging with the artist because they don't know anything besides that one song. And for artists as established, like for example, last year with Steve Lacy and Bad Habit, the song Bad Habit, it was really TikTok that popularized the song. And ask any fucking member of the audience who was at a Steve Lacy concert where he was playing that set, and you ask them to like fucking say the verse or sing the verse to him, nobody fucking knew what he was talking about. And they all just hit the chorus and called it a fucking day. That's the thing with these new, artists, not, the Steve Lace thing, just an example, but hell, even like Ice Spice, people came in like hating Ice Spice. They're like, what the fuck is this? And it was TikTok that popularized it. And she has the New York drill sound, and it's become a little bit repetitive. Everybody's trying to sound the same. There's no like real authenticity. Playboy Cardi and the whole like Opium and Ken Carson and them sounding alike. Like there's no ingenuity, I guess, anymore. I'm not trying to sound like an old head. We've had this conversation on the podcast before, but TikTok is really watered down artists, and I really don't see it reaching the same level of heights again, if not for somebody being really at the forefront who not only brings a different style, but brings in some forms of like different genre. Somebody has to be genre bending. Somebody has to be he has to be an artist that can really break through to the mainstream, but it won't be like regular rap because I feel like that's already been played out, or that's already a sound that exists and people aren't really trying to hear it anymore. Some artists are even going to lengths to try to create art that's not entirely rap, even though they're rappers, right? For example, you had Travis Scott on his last album, Utopia, newest album. He had Bad Bunny. I love Bad Bunny. I listen to Bad Bunny's music. But what the fuck is Bad Bunny doing on a Travis Scott song? I'm not saying that it's a bad to have inclusivity or bad to not diversify yourself, but it's a reason why he has that. It's a reason why he had The Weeknd and Bad Bunny. Of course, he wanted a radio friendly hit. He wanted, that song that would be played on the airwaves nonstop. And to his credit, he did that. But it shows how different that song sounds in terms of the rest of the album. Maybe that's an artistic choice, but it could also be because he knows that that sound is popular. You know, Latin artists right now are really on the rise. They're really at the forefront. They're peaking on Billboard. They're topping the charts. Hell, you even have ASAP Rocky, who has stated that Peso Pluma is going to be on his newest album whenever that drops. And they're really having this inclusivity of Latin influence because they see it as the new wave. They see it as something that's really on the rise, which isn't bad, but it just goes to show how. And again, I don't want to say that it's fallen off, but just how different the state of hip hop is now than it was a couple of years ago. And I think that's credit to the new styles of music that are bubbling up, or the new styles of music that are becoming popular. For example, R&B and rock I know have surged in listeners, as long as country isn't one of those. I'm just kidding. Not really. Fuck country. Uh, but yeah, it just goes to show. And I think that's an interesting take. Also, Utopia, the long-awaited album. I did say that we were going to talk about it, but I kind of delved into something else there. But I do want to talk about Utopia being, Travis Scott's return to the spotlight, if you will. I know it's been heavily anticipated, especially after Astroworld. Travis Scott has definitely had all eyes on him. Notably, of course, he had the Astroworld tragedies that left many dead. He then came back from that with maybe perhaps the worst attempt at an apology, where he was over and over again saying, "Wow, that's crazy," and rubbing his forehead, in a black and gray, uh, video or whatever. And that's not an apology. I still think even though he's not 100% at fault, he didn't really make things better. He did see what was happening. There's no way that he didn't see what was happening. I believe that he even had another set in Rome following the drop of Utopia, where people got injured, and it's just something that continues to happen. Now, of course, it's not in Travis Scott's hands, the the fucking motivations or the motives of his fans, what they came to do. But we know Travis Scott, he's a rager. He even talks about it in his album. One of the lines that I too genuinely like just don't like is the part where he was talking about how he feels bad about what happens if people only knew who the real Travis Scott was, the one that would go into the crowd and save the children, and he'd be this stand-up heroic guy who would do anything to help those who are in trouble. And then in the same song he goes on to say, but at heart I'm a rager, so it's basically like I would do that, but I got to party, I got a whole lot of shit to do. That really left a sour taste in my listening experience, because like you talk about accountability, but at the same time it's like you're so dismissive of it, you know? And I think people overlook that because, well, it's Travis Scott. They want new music, they want content. They're riding off the success and the love that they have for fucking Astro World. That they at times it feels like they don't even want to acknowledge, or trying to forget about the awful things that surround this man. But hey, if we're just keeping it at music, the album was, for most, I believe, people said that they weren't expecting that type of sound from him. I know is a pretty standout record for me. You can hear the Kanye influence all over this album. If we're talking just pure music, nothing else, this is a great return. Can't wait to hear what he says next, right? Hopefully he learns from past mistakes. We can only hope. But yeah. Also making the rounds today, Elon Musk. Well, not today, but this happened a couple of days ago. Elon Musk announced that X, formerly known as Twitter, I will never get used to X. I had to literally write it down, or else I would forget to say X. Will be removing the block feature from Twitter because, in Elon Musk's words, there's just no need for it. You know, and round of applause for Elon Musk actually, because he really pulled a Tyler the Creator and said bullying ain't real. Just turn the device off and walk outside and touch grass and shit. you know, I just know harassment and shit talking is about to go crazy. Fucking Elon Musk. The only reason he had to ever fucking do this is, you know, he clearly has been trying to slide into somebody's DMs and he just got blocked on his own shit. That's got to be the only reason, man. Because there's no way that you remove this feature. You know how much shit talking goes. Fucking Twitter is the wild, wild west. I'm sorry, my bad. I meant X. Look, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But you know what? We often hear about growing thick skin. Finding things not as deep as they are. But when Twitter, shit, I did it again. When X is the way that it is, maybe having the block feature is something that we need to do. Shout out to all the people that have been canceled this past week. Bentellect, or wherever the fuck his name is, being. Am I gonna get sued for saying his name? Do I have to bleep it out? I did watch that Moist Critical video where he talks about how he likes to sue a lot if you like talk shit about him. The dude's a freak. If you've been reading, and it's fucked up too, because I like, not that I like the guy. I don't know the guy personally, but just like me. Not in the terms of what he did. Not in terms of what he did, but like I chuckle at memes. I'm an old soul trapped in a young man's body. Like I laugh at shit too. So I found him somewhat entertaining. But hearing that fake ooh, won't you fuck me shit, it's just weird. Uh, so yeah, I think removing the block feature is a crazy step. But let me know if this is crazy. So the story says here that a man asked a woman for his money back after paying the bill on a date after she declined to go on the second date. Is he wrong in doing this? Now, the gentlemanly thing to say, I guess, would be that he is in the wrong. You know, you invited this woman. Or at least I think you did. I'm not really sure. It didn't say, but I guess that's something to talk about. I guess if you invited the woman, then yeah, you should pay. If she invited you and she's like, oh fuck, I forgot my wallet. It's like, don't worry, I'll pay for this one. Would you like to go on a second date? It's like, I don't think so. That's a little fucked up, but I don't know. But my man's really said no free meals around here. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I've had an experience where I've been, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok. Uh, yeah, I got invited by a homie. We went to a spot down here called Wolfie's. If you live in Chicago, shout out to Wolfie's. And he pretty much offered like a nice day with the boys, and who could refuse that? So I went with them, or at least I thought I did. I pulled up and it was just me and him. For the sake of this story, we're gonna name him Nick. And Nick, he's a great guy. Like I've hung around him prior to going to lunch with him, and he's always been mad cool. Joked around, told stories, all that. And we talked and whatever. I was like, funny, no, nobody's here. It's like, yeah, man, everybody left, but it's cool, man. If you want, you can stick around. And we were basically eating hot dogs, together, which isn't weird. You eat hot dogs with your homies, nothing weird with that. And he was like, man, he was telling me about the struggles. He was telling me about, everybody's in relationships and I'm just out here. And I was single too. Still am, but I was more single then. And so I'm telling, yeah, no, man, I know what you feel. It's like, and then he gives me the first hint of what should have been the tell-all sign of I might be in trouble, because he says, oh, it's just that talking to women is hard, man. Sometimes women are impossible. They're not like guys. We guys are just more forward and open. And I'm like, yeah, man, you get it. I fucks with that. I feel that too. Because he's right. Sometimes it does feel that way. But I wasn't thinking, oh, this man's gay. And then at the end, we were finishing our hot dog, and whatever. It's like, man, it's still early. Do you want to go to the park or something? We can talk and walk at the same time. It's like, you know what? I'm having a nice time with you, man. I'm not thinking much of it. Fuck it, let's go to the park. So we're walking in the park. In order to get to the park, it's a little bit far out, but he has a car parked. And this is the second sign I should have known that some iffy was going on, because he opened my door and he did like a gesture. He's like, get inside. And he gets into the driver's seat and he's like, are you comfortable? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. And he presses like a button and the fucking seat rolls back. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got scared, but like, not enough to be like, oh man, I should run. So I'm still there. I'm still there. And then we get to the park and we just walk around. We see this is the third sign. He buys me an ice cream. He buys me an ice cream. I'm like, oh man, this guy's really great. And at the end it's getting a little dark. But the park is actually conveniently enough like near my house. So I'm like, hey man, it's getting brisk, and it's getting a little late. I think I'm gonna head out now. He's like, really? I was gonna invite you over back to my house. Not only was this man trying to fuck me, he was trying to like invite me over to his crib. Anyway, I'm like, no, man, I think I really should get going. And he's like, okay, fine, fine, fine. And then I do the gesture thing because I think we're gonna dap up, and we do. And this man pulls me closer, and I swear to God, I feel the man's nose, like I feel him inhaling next to my fucking neck. And I didn't want to be weird about it, so I kind of like let go. And he was still holding me. He's like, all right, man, you take care of yourself, dog. I'm gonna hit you up later. Just let me know when you want to go out again. And that's when it clicked. When he had me in his warm, manly grip, he had me in captivity and shit. Like I just knew that I was in trouble. It was like that. Was it the Migos song? He was in trouble. Like for real. And like as soon as he started getting back to his car, I just fucking bolted. I ran. I ran as hard as I could. And I'm a fat motherfucker, so that shit funny. But like I ran as fast as I could because I just if I didn't, I felt like he was gonna chase me. I thought I was gonna have that Herbert moment. Where are you going, kids? Type shit. But yeah, I shout out to Nick. Crazy dude, crazy. Hung around him, but like with friends. I wouldn't dare hang out with him like around, just alone and shit no more. But by God, heart attack shit, man. Heart attack shit. Speaking of something that might give you a heart attack, an alligator was seen at a Florida bus stop. Because alligators are some of the nonchalant creatures who just don't give a fuck. And this is the most Florida-esque headline I've read all fucking week. That says a lot, you know. And he was patiently waiting because my boy's tired of swimming in the upstreams and whatnot. He's tired of gilding himself around like an animal. He lives with dignity. Do Florida people have alligators as pets? Like genuinely? Like that's my question. If there's any Florida people, please let me know. Is this a common occurrence? Like, how people go outside and they throw their trash and they're like, oh shit, a raccoon, and try to pick it up like it doesn't have rabies and shit. Like, do y'all go outside, throw out your trash, and boom, alligator? Because that, like the alligator scene must be crazy. I've read a report. This is the craziest shit. A woman was taking out her trash. I don't remember whether this was. I think this was either Florida or Texas. I could be wrong. But the woman was taking out her trash where she found a snake and it basically was like clinging onto her or trying to get near her. She didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, this fucking eagle just soars through, majestic as fuck eagle. And the woman is like, "Fuck yeah, finally, it's gonna take care of the snake." And the eagle just starts fucking attacking her, like in the process of trying to take the snake. The woman is getting abused by this fucking eagle. Animals are dicks, but some of them are cute, I guess. Uh, Honestly, if I had the choice, I'd roll around the city with a chicken. Not gonna lie, like a cool ass roosty, like the roosty boy from Surf's Up. What was his name? Chicken Joe or some shit. Yeah, I'd hang around with a chicken, like put her on a leash and shit. But yeah, definitely not an alligator for sure. Singer divorces a devilish handsome ghost. Ah, yes, this is the one that we. This is the real meat and potatoes here. This singer songwriter who goes by the name of Brooke Hardy, a singer from Oxfordshire, claims that they got married to a veteran ghost, right? His name is Edward. He was a Victorian soldier for less than a year. And, it was love at first. I can't even say sight, you know? Not love at first eyesight, more like love at first paranormal contact or some shit like that. I'm not sure how she met him, but for a certain amount of years, I guess it was like this the fucking the fucking parody movie where the bitch is getting fucked by a ghost or some shit. I don't know how that works, but she claims that something happened after they got married, or apparently they argued over their wedding date. And at one point, my boy Edward, who by the way is very handsome as she describes, just got overtly drunk and just decided to go full on meth addict and like wife beater and started abusing her. I don't know how you get abused by a ghost. Domestic violence is not funny, and I will not joke about it. But how do you how? This is the same question that I'm having about the woman who like married the Eiffel. How do you marry a ghost? Who like what is England doing? You know? Um Shouts out to her for getting out of that relationship. She divorced it, so I guess she's no longer with the ghost. So now Edward is either A, gonna stop communicating with her, or B, is going to haunt her. But hopefully he stops beating her, because that's not cool, Edward. You know? Listen, I'm trying to be as mindful as I can, but like this fucking story is just crazy. Divorcing not only a devilish, but a handsome ghost. Now, I've never listened to her music, but I've seen pictures of her. She's got like this goth slash like demonic, it's not a phase mom type of, look to her. She looks like she draws pentagrams for fun, is what I'm trying to say. So I see it, you know? Shouts out to her. What can I say? Hopefully she's not in that abusive relationship. I know we're making jokes, but again, just as a disclaimer, domestic violence, not something to be joked about. But I will joke about the fact that she fucking might have had sex with a ghost. It's implied. Or at least she was like rizzed up by a ghost. I think that's hilarious. But moving on, because I can't wrap my mind around this. And I can't wrap my mind around this either. Apparently, prisoners were seeking extension of jail time in order to stay housed because they wanted to avoid facing the housing crisis. Of course, when you're an inmate and you get out acclimating to society norms and just society in general, it's very difficult. So that's very understandable. They wanted to avoid the housing crisis. They wanted to avoid drugs and overdosing and dying. Another thing that's like easy to fall back on, especially if that's something you were caught up for. And it really says something about our society. I feel like when even the prisoners don't feel safe in the society, but everybody isn't necessarily helped. Everybody doesn't really get as much support as they probably should, and that's why there's like a whole lot of homelessness sometimes. There's a lot of people who can't afford to live somewhere. They won't get jobs, or sometimes they even get refused to be indoctrinated into a certain career or a position because of their criminal rap sheets or because of their backgrounds. After they apply, they probably get failed in the background checks and things like that. So it really is sad that some of these inmates are scared of leaving prison. Acclimating to new surroundings has got to be tough, and it is a problem that sometimes goes unviewed, untouched, and really adds to the whole idea of it took our jobs and whatever, because at one point people have to fill those positions, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. That's why some people who work very, very sucky jobs tend to be like criminals, because, well, that's basically the only form of employment that they can gain. And they don't have any mobility in climbing that social ladder and finding equitable and suitable jobs that they can for sure be guaranteed, because, again, the acts they commit. So it's a double thing, right? Where we can say what you signed up for, or the consequences to your actions being criminal. It really depends on where you grow up, the support system that you have, or for a lack of better, lack of support system that you fall into the wayside, quote unquote, and you end pursuing a life of crime, criminal activity. But it is fucked up that they don't get help, or at least they don't get as much support as as they probably should. The last story here, um, there will be no jokes about it. There is no like setup. There is no punchline. There really is nothing for me to say that will make this okay. The news article states that a British nurse was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of 7 newborn babies. I want to say that again. The murder of 7 newborn babies. The term monster doesn't even begin to describe like the heinous and awful acts that she has committed. It's even stated that she attempted to murder 6 others in the northwestern England hospital between 2015 and 2016. Her name is Lucy Letby, a 33-year-old who is now known as Britain's most prolific serial killer of children in recent history. She was arrested and released in 2018, 2019, arrested on charges in 2020. She would finally be arrested on charges in 2020 after it was revealed that she was involved in the care of all the children who reportedly died and passed away. The doctors would go in and they would see the spike in these cases and they just had no explanation. It wasn't until the police were made aware that she was the one in charge of all the children, newborns, where she would, be prosecuted and charged. But one of the most telling things was that prosecutors would search her home and they found a letter that read, "I am evil. I did this." What type of, I don't even want to say monster because I feel like it underlines exactly what she has done. You murdered 7 newborn babies. You took lives, My heart goes out to all the families. Just the tragic news, the irreversible damage that she's caused. It hang beneath the jail cell, like fucking dirt. Like some capital punishments need to be brought back just for her because there's no way that she. I'm sorry, but getting off scot free will. I understand life in prison. Trust me, you're never seeing the light of day, especially like a women's prison. Like there are a lot of mothers in there. I'm sure that's not gonna bode well for her. But just like there was nothing that insinuated that she would go down this path. Apparently she had a normal upbringing. She wasn't really like through any mental trauma that we know of. Please note that as of me stating this, recording, there hasn't been enough information that points otherwise. But she wasn't known to fly off the handle or to have been brought up in trauma or a bad environment or just anything of that nature where we point to different people who are like, oh, he's a serial killer, oh well, his childhood was fucked up, or he witnessed this when he was younger, so that made him this way. No, the woman just wanted to kill because she wanted to kill. Why children? Why go down this path? That's the most heinous, disgusting, repulsive, just utter shuddering. you know I, as a young person, like, this is horrible to read. And I can't express how sorry I am to those family members who, a lot of people sometimes don't get the ability to have children, and that's their light and day, that's their joys. So I can only imagine. I don't even want to imagine, actually. No funny outro this time. No jokes. No, nothing. I will say, take care of yourselves, stay strong, independent, and focused for whatever comes your way. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. This has been my return. Hopefully, being more consistent for you guys. Tapped In Podcast, new episodes coming in. We got a new one this week as well. Hopefully. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next one.